What's better than morning selfies? Absolutely nothing, Nicolette thought. The girl loved an early morning selfie to greet her subscribers. Nicolette was often referred to as a social media goddess. She maintained several pages and had thousands of fans. Nicolette, did you really get bumped off again? I'm wondering what it is you do that makes all the guys run away from you like mice from a sinking ship, said Sarah, as soon as her daughter Nicolette came down to the living room. Nicolette received dozens of confessions every day, but she was still alone. The problem was that all her suitors disappeared after the first date. The girl absolutely did not understand what she was doing wrong. The girl decided to go to the store to get some sweets. She was very fond of eating gummy bears. When she bit off the head of the candy, she felt better. Unfortunately, there was no candy at the usual place. The girl went to the seller and asked him where she could find candy in the shape of bears. He answered her that they were out of them. They were not even in the warehouse. By chance, Nicolette noticed that there was a pack of gummy bears on the counter behind the seller. The girl asked the vendor if he could sell them to her. "I can't sell them to you as they are reserved," replied the salesman. "Reserved? How's that? Who's going to reserve the candy? And if they still haven't been bought, you can sell them to me. You are now infringing on my rights as a buyer." Nicolette was indignant. A dark-haired guy entered the store almost silently. "Let me be the first to buy these candies and be done with it. Sell them to me, please. I'm getting dizzy already. I need to eat something sweet. You understand, without these gummy bears, I'm starting to break down." Nicolette continued to shout. "Well, the owner of these candy bears has finally arrived. Go pester him. Get off my back at last," exclaimed the salesman. Turning around, Nicolette saw a dark-haired guy. "Look at him, he's so handsome. Okay, stop. I need to pull myself together. At the moment, I have completely different problems. I don't care about handsome guys." Nicolette thought to herself. "So are you the first and only person in the whole country who decided to book gummy bears?" asked Nicolette to the guy. Ignoring the girl's question, the guy took his candy from the counter and put it in his vest pocket. "Okay, I'm getting curious as to what kind of unicum thought to book the marmalade. How come I've never seen you here before? And why did you take the candy without paying for it?" Nicolette was indignant. "I paid for them. I bought them last night. I just accidentally left them here already after I paid for them. So the correct word here wouldn't be booked, but returned lost property. I even have the receipt," replied the guy. "Looks like you're not going to not buy anything. Then how about you leave me alone and leave the premises? I need to check the merchandise. You're interfering with the workflow right now. You're forcing me to report you." "Obstructing the workflow? What are you talking about?" Nicolette wondered. The guy picked up his cell phone and started pretending to call the police. Running around the counter, Nicolette tried to snatch the phone out of the guy's hands. Accidentally tripping, the girl began to fall on top of him. The guy took a step to the side, and Nicolette flew to the floor with a squeal. "Hey, leech, if you don't get off my back now, I'm definitely going to call the police," warned the guy. The girl had no choice but to leave for the store. "I'll never set foot in this store again," shouted Nicolette as she left the store. In a neighboring store, the girl bought herself several crying, sweet gummy bears at once. She needed to nourish her stress. After finishing work, Tobias rushed home. "You promised me you'd come early today. By the way, you brought my gummy bears. You forgot to do that last time." Indignant, Lenny saw his brother on the doorstep. "Of course I did." Tobias handed his brother his favorite gummy bears. Nicolette put on her best clothes. Tonight, she had been asked out on a date by top social media hottie Patrick Lewis. Patrick walked up to Nicolette and gently touched her shoulder. The girl had never seen Patrick in person before. She was glad that he turned out to be as handsome in person as he was in pictures. Patrick offered the girl lunch at a small cafe. "It seems like today is going to be a really good day. I feel like things are going to turn out differently in my life now," thought to herself Nicolette. Toward evening, Patrick suggested the girl to go to karaoke. There, she ran into Tobias. He was standing behind the receptionist's desk. "Leech, what are you doing here?" Tobias wondered. Nicolette guessed that this guy not only worked at the store near her house, but also at this karaoke. Leech, what's he talking about now? Patrick asked Nicolay. Oh, nothing. Don't mind him. Let's get out of here as soon as possible, said Nicolay and pushed Patrick into the hall. Listening to Patrick sing, Nicolay thought for a long time about what song to sing to her. I'm glad we were able to meet today. Since we've already gotten to know you better, can I talk to you more informally? Patrick asked the girl. Even though we've only just met, I can directly feel the rapport between us. I feel like you're a good fit for me. Often when I meet some blogger girl, I see that all her beauty is only in the picture. You're different. Let's also see if our vocal cords match up, shall we? I'm going to run to the restroom right now and you pick a song for us, okay? While Patrick was in the restroom, Nicolay decided to take selfies. Since it wasn't quite comfortable to hold the phone with her hand, the girl decided to use her foot. I was told the remote didn't work here. Must be the wrong room. Tobias muttered in surprise as he entered the room. The sound of a camera was heard. Nicolay was being photographed by a girl who looked into the room. Patrick also looked into the room. He saw Nicolay in an unsightly light. Oh, look at that asshole, said the girl who took the picture of Nicolay. Nicolay jumped out of the room and ran after the girl. You're the one who just took a picture of me, aren't you? Quickly delete that picture, demanded Nicolay. And who are you to tell me what to do? Resented the girl. If you want me to delete that picture, then pay me to do it. Did you really think you were in a fairy tale and that everything was going to be okay in your life? Tobias approached the girls. For taking pictures of people without their permission, you can be sentenced to 5 years in jail or a fine of this several thousand, said Tobias. So? Who the hell are you anyway? Why are you interfering? Asked the girl. Tobias pretended to call the police to tell them about the offense. What is this stupid habit of snitching on people to the police? Nicolay thought to herself. Here, look, I'm deleting this picture right in front of you, exclaimed the girl, and erased the photo from her phone's memory. Afterward, the girl turned around and left the karaoke. Damn, this is embarrassing, Nicolay exclaimed. I'm sorry. I didn't intentionally open the door at that exact moment. I didn't realize you'd be taking pictures of yourself with your feet, mumbled Tobias. When you're around me, there's always some kind of trouble going on in my life. You realize that, don't you? Nicolay became indignant. I'm sorry, of course, that I opened the door at such an inopportune moment, but I'll say it again. I didn't know you were doing this sort of thing. Do you think it would have occurred to me? You have to take pictures with your feet, Tobias said with a grin. People began to look out of the karaoke rooms. They heard the sound of a scandal and wondered what was going on. Whatever! Let's just not cross paths now. Let's never see each other at all for the rest of our lives, okay? Nicolay exclaimed and sprinted out of the karaoke bar. Lowering his eyes, Tobias noticed an earring lying on the floor. That same evening, flipping through the newsfeed, Nicolay saw a picture of Patrick with a new girlfriend. Wow, that's how fast things go for him, Nicolay exclaimed. I haven't been humiliated like this in a long time, and it's all because that asshole opened the doors. How he pisses me off. If I ever get the chance, I will definitely get back at him. Tobias lay down next to his brother Lenny and looked at him fondly. He loved his brother very much. And why are you looking at me like that? Is something wrong? Asked Lenny. Close your eyes quickly. Sarah will be upset if you're late again tomorrow, said Tobias to his brother. In my opinion, Sarah will still love me even if I'm late 100 times in a row. I've heard that if you love someone, even the imperfections seem cute. Lenny objected. Have you said goodnight to Mom and Dad yet? Tobias asked. I already did, said Lenny, yawning sweetly. Entering his daughter's room, Stephen saw that she was actively exercising. My bun, you shouldn't overwork yourself like that, said Stephen in a soft voice. How many times have I asked you not to call me that? Rolling her eyes, Nicolay asked. You're freaking out because it's your first day of high school, aren't you? You don't have to be. Set yourself up for the positive. Think about the fact that you might meet a cool guy at school, maybe even have a crush on him. Stephen reassured his daughter. Dad, I don't want to fall in love with anyone. I'm sick of it. It's the same thing every time. Nicolay was indignant. After a little thought, Nicolay decided that she would act differently now. She would not wait for someone to love her. She would find a boyfriend for herself. Nicolay promised herself that as soon as she met a guy she liked, she would make him love her. Until then, the girl had only dated guys who first showed interest in her. All of these dates ended sadly. Guys would quickly fall in love with Nicolay and just as quickly lose interest in her. I want my life to be as romantic as it is shown in movies and TV series. I'm going to make everyone envy me, Nicolay thought to herself. The students of the school began to recognize Nicolay and whisper among themselves. The girl decided that in this school she would only show her best side. She wanted to make a good impression of herself. Tobias was absolutely not disturbed from sleeping by the chattering in the classroom. "Hey, you're Tobias from Kerrang Elementary, right?" asked the red-haired boy. Tobias only looked at him tiredly. He had no desire to socialize with anyone. "It's definitely you. I remember you. My name is Chandler Shin. We taught together in 5th grade. Do you remember me? We used to play together at recess and stuff." When Nicolette entered the classroom, the students immediately fell silent. They began to scrutinize the girl. "Look at this! That's Nicolette Grody, the social media star!" Chandler exclaimed. "Come on, what kind of star am I?" Nicolette modestly asked. "What's the matter with you, Chandler? Did you really want to flirt with a girl? You're so shameless. You can't make a pass at a star like that with that face." The classmates were indignant. Nicolay looked around the classroom, trying to find a free seat. The only seat available was next to a dark-haired boy. The girl asked his permission to sit next to him. "What are you saying?" The guy interrogated the girl. "I see, tightwad," Nicolette thought to herself, and sat down next to the dark-haired guy. She decided that if any trouble suddenly arose, she would just move over. Nicolay could hear the excited whispers of her classmates. They were discussing her appearance, her demeanor. The girl liked it all. "Go on, you can't even imagine how long I spent fancying myself up today. I did it all so that no one could say that I am beautiful, only in pictures," the girl thought to herself. Suddenly, Nicolay's gaze fell on the boy sitting next to her. He was sound asleep with his face tucked into the desk. Wow, someone fell asleep at their desk on the first day of school. And for some reason, I feel like I've seen the back of that head somewhere before. It definitely reminds me of someone, thought Nicolay as she untied the boy. A teacher entered the classroom. His name was Ben Foster. "Hey, Gally, wake up! Are you really sleeping through your first class?" resented the teacher. "Hey, Tobias, wake up!" Chandler walked over to his old friend and rubbed his shoulder. "What do you want?" muttered Tobias, waking up. "You?" exclaimed Nicolay, jumping up on the spot. "Ah, it's you, the one who likes to take pictures with your feet," replied Tobias. Nicolay ran up to Tobias and covered his mouth with her hands. She'd spent the whole morning fancying herself up, choosing her behavior tactics, and he was ruining it again. "Why don't you explain to us what you're doing there?" the teacher asked. "Yes, indeed, some strange behavior on your part. Do you two know each other?" asked Chandler. "No, don't know him at all. This is the first time I've seen him. I just mistook him for someone else." Embarrassedly scratching the back of her head, Nicolay replied. "Really? I think I've seen you before," Tobias said with a grin. "And you've probably seen her on social media. Teacher, did you know that this is Nicolette Grody, the social media star?" Chandler asked. "I can't believe I'm in the same class as that jerk. Why do I have to suffer like this?" Nicolay thought with despair. "At least some of you let yourselves sleep in class, but at least no one is truant. And for that, you can be commended. Also, I've noticed that segregation is rampant in our class. I will correct that." The teacher said in a loud voice, "I'm going to seat you by lot. That way you guys will become friends faster. I'll put one boy and girl at a desk each, and no one will be an exception." Nicolay got number 23, but Tobias got number 24. That meant they would have to sit together. "Teacher, my eyesight is bad. I want to sit closer," Nicolay shouted loudly, but the teacher ignored her. "He's not going to spread rumors all over the school, is he? He's not like that, is he?" Nicolette thought to herself, taking a seat at the desk next to Tobias. Tobias remembered that he had found an earring at Karaoke. It most likely belonged to Nicolette. By the way, that day, Tobias started to say, but Nicolette interrupted him. That day? What day was that? I have no idea what you're talking about now, the girl exclaimed. It seemed to her that just a little more and she would definitely strangle Tobias. Nicolette, how about we friend you on social media? Subscribe to me, please, Chandler asked the girl. Nicolette happily agreed to be his social media friend. Gosh, you probably have more followers than I ever dreamed of. I wonder what it feels like to have so many people subscribe to you. I envy you, Chandler exclaimed. From all sides, her classmates began to approach Nicolette. They too wanted to be friends with the girl. Many offered to sign her up, while others commented on her pictures on social media. Tobias got up from his seat and walked towards the exit. Talking about social media was stressing him out. Tobias, tell us what your profile is before you go. We'll be sure to subscribe to you, Chandler promised. I'm not on social media. I have absolutely no time for it, and all this foolishness is nothing but a waste of time, replied Tobias, and walked out of the classroom. How arrogant that sounded, noted Nicolette to herself. By the way, Nicolette, what lipstick did you use for selfies that day? Remember when you went to the coffee shop? It was like it was specifically for Instagram, said the girl with glasses. Her name was Samantha. By the way, Nicolette, we thought you were going to be a badass, and you turned out to be so easy to talk to. I mean, we know you're a social media star. You could have acted differently. Besides, your mom is the first beauty of our country. Admired the classmates. Everyone knows that your mom often won all kinds of beauty contests. We thought you wouldn't put a price on yourself having such parents. If you read about your mother on the internet, you'll notice that your name is often flashed in the articles too. I read in an article recently that a lot of people doubted you'd grow up to be a real beauty. That's what good genes mean. Her classmates' words upset Nicolette, though she tried not to show it. She knew that when she was a teenager, many doubted that she would become a beauty. Now, however, she was constantly watching her appearance. She didn't want to be an ugly duckling. Nicolette began to scrutinize the comments on her morning photos. Many commented on the girl's flawless appearance. After reading the comments, Nicolette was relieved. Hey, quickly hide your phone or it will be taken away from you, said Tobias to the girl. Nicolette hurriedly hid her phone in her pocket. This weirdo, did he just help me? Though no, he can't be a good person. He's too arrogant and mean, Nicolette thought to herself. The girl noticed that Tobias's feet were wearing light-colored socks with a picture of a hare on them. They didn't go with his image at all. At recess, Nicolette decided to look at the boys of the school. She needed to find the one who would later become her prince. Unfortunately, she didn't like anyone. Everyone had a flaw, some in looks, some in behavior. Nicolette remembered that another social media star, Kane Nam-shin, attended this school. Nicolette walked up to Kane's classroom. One of the students came out of the classroom. The girl asked him to tell Kane that a teacher was looking for him. Well, who was looking for me? Said Kane, stepping out of the classroom. The girl was struck by the difference between the pictures on social media and the real Kane. He looked much worse in person. Without saying anything, Nicolette hurriedly retreated. No, this is a complete failure. Well, why have I never been able to find a guy for me to like? It's not like I'm asking for anything supernatural. I want to meet a handsome, tall guy with a trim body, thought Nicolette on the way home. Unexpected, Nicolette saw a crowd of girls peering inside the cafe through the window. They were enthusiastically discussing someone's body and face. Looking inside the cafe, Nicolette saw Tobias. Brother, I see you're wearing the socks I gave you this morning. Maybe you already have a girlfriend and she gives you better gifts than I do, asked Lenny. What are you talking about now? What girlfriend? Tobias wondered. Lenny showed the earring he had found. This earring doesn't belong to my girlfriend. It was left by one of the visitors. Tobias exclaimed and took the earring from his brother. Too bad. I thought you had finally found a girlfriend. I was glad you were out of the perpetual loneliness zone, Lenny said with a tightening of his lips. Tobias got a call from his boss asking him to come to work right away. Looking at herself in the mirror, Nicolette decided to analyze what she had seen on the way home. She had definitely heard the girls admiring Tobias's looks. Is he really handsome and she doesn't notice it? Does Tobias have admirers? Stephen shouted to his daughter to pick up his order from the courier. "You're always sending me to pick up the order," Nicolette muttered. The girl opened the doors, took the order, and thanked the courier for his help. Suddenly, the girl's gaze fell on the courier's feet. Light-colored socks with a picture of a hare peeked out from under his shoes. "Tobias, is that really you?" the girl exclaimed. "What a coincidence, Leech. Enjoy your meal," replied Tobias to the girl. "Here she is, my hen. What a long time I've waited for her. I hope they put enough radishes in this time. I asked them to give me 2 servings. They promised me they'd give me a special compliment for the star." An overjoyed Sarah popped out into the hallway. Slamming the front door, Nicolette grabbed her head. She was embarrassed that her classmate Tobias saw the real her without makeup. Nicolette tossed and turned in bed all night, unable to sleep. She kept thinking about Tobias. Who is this man anyway? And why exactly did he deliver the food to my house? He's been following me around lately. Everywhere I look, there he is. How am I supposed to face him at school now? Walking up to the classroom, Nicolette peered cautiously out the window. Tobias wasn't there yet. "Are you looking out for me by any chance, toe selfie lover?" asked the girl as Tobias approached. "Hey, what are you two talking about?" asked an overjoyed Chandler. "Nothing important. Let's go to class." Tobias put his arm around his buddy's neck and led him into the classroom. "And why is it that every time I meet him, I find myself in an awkward situation?" thought Nicolette as she followed Tobias. It was hard for Nicolette to concentrate in class as she kept thinking about the morning incident. What if Tobias had already told his old buddy Chandler that he saw her taking selfies with her feet? What if word got around the school? What would happen then? "By the way, Nicolette, what did Tobias want to tell you this morning? I heard him say something about toes," said Chandler to the girl. "You heard him!" Barely screaming in horror, said Nicolette. "No, I clearly heard him say something about toes," Chandler insisted. "Listen, Chandler, I have gummy bears. Would you like to try some? They're my favorite candy, by the way." The girl tried to divert Chandler's attention to something else. At recess, Nicolette suggested that Tobias come out of class to talk. The girl led Tobias to the sports equipment warehouse. "Listen, did you happen to lose anything that day?" Tobias asked. Nicolette answered him that except for her dignity, she had lost nothing else. "And this isn't yours?" Tobias showed the girl an earring. "Yes, this is my earring. And where did you find it?" Nicolette asked. Tobias answered her that she had dropped the earring at a karaoke bar. "That's great that you found it. Listen, just in case, I wanted to ask you not to tell anyone about what happened the other day at the karaoke bar," asked Nicolette. "You don't have to worry about that. I won't tell anyone about it. And I wasn't going to," replied Tobias. With a relieved sigh, Nicolette involuntarily took a step back and rested her back against the pyramid of old desks. The pyramid tilted and fell noisily on top of the girl. Tobias managed to pull the girl towards him, saving her thus from the falling desks. "Are you hurt?" Tobias asked. A blushing Nicolette looked at Tobias in surprise. "Why has my heart been beating so fast lately? Has it developed tachycardia?" thought Nicolette, looking at the sleeping Tobias. "Are you sleeping again? Why do you sleep all the time? What do you do at night?" asked his buddy as Chandler approached. "Your nose is bleeding," said a sleepy Tobias to the girl and held out a pack of paper napkins. Nicolette was running her third lap. She wanted to get rid of the intrusive thoughts. That's right. I just like Tobias's looks and nothing more. As a person, I don't like him at all. I've always had a thing for a pretty face," mumbled the panting girl. Seeing the pleasant lighting, Nicolette decided to take selfies out of habit. In the screen of her phone, the girl noticed Tobias. Turning around, the girl saw Tobias playing with some little boy. Damn, when I see him, my heart starts beating furiously. I guess I've really fallen in love with him. What am I supposed to do now? ran through the girl's mind. I've never seen that look on his face before. Who does he think this kid is? Could it be his little brother? I doubt it's his son. He's too young to be a father, thought Nicolay lying in bed. Something she's kind of strange today. Maybe she's sick? Look how red her face is. Is this condition normal for teenagers? Remember that song about bright red puberty? Sarah asked her husband, leaning over her daughter. I don't think that song is about puberty. It's about hot youth, reminded his spouse Stephen. Sarah called him smart and perceptive and laughed ringingly. It's all because of him. He's the reason I feel this way, said Nicolay and sat up on the bed. He's the reason I'm on pins and needles all the time. When he smiles, it seems like 100 fluorescent lights light up around me. Do you think that's love? Nicolay asked her parents. Of course it's love. What else is it? Exclaimed Stephen. Listen, honey, you finally got a boyfriend? Rejoiced Sarah. Something like that. You see, he doesn't know how I feel yet. But after all, it's only a matter of time, right? Asked Nicolay. You mean you've fallen unrequitedly in love with some guy? Surprised Sarah. You're absolutely not helping me. You're only making it worse, the girl exclaimed and kicked her parents out of her room. Look at her! Kicking her own parents out the door like she should, shouted Sarah, drumming on the door of her daughter's room. Unrequitedly in love? Me? That can't be true. That's ridiculous. Nicolay was indignant. Guys were constantly running after her, literally in droves. There was no such thing as unrequited love. As the girl fell asleep, she saw Tobias in front of her. It was starting to feel like some kind of madness. Once again, I couldn't sleep that night. With these circles under my eyes, I look like a panda. Nicolay grumbled, scrutinizing her reflection in the mirror. It seemed to the girl that Tobias had appeared beside her again. He looked at her judgmentally. Are you serious? Get out of here! The girl exclaimed and dispelled the vision with her hand. Entering the schoolyard, the girl noticed that Tobias had reappeared beside her. Again! How many times can it be? What kind of punishment is this? Get out of my sight! The girl tried again to dispel the vision, but Tobias did not disappear. Nicolay gently poked her finger at Tobias. The finger rested against his muscles. Tobias asked the girl why she was touching him. Are you for real? The girl exclaimed in surprise. Sorry. Nicolette was extremely embarrassed about what had happened. The shame made her want to burn on the spot. I was so sleep-deprived that even my makeup didn't completely hide my black eyes. I hope he didn't notice anything, Nicolette thought to herself. Tobias walked into the classroom. I saw you yesterday with your little brother. That was your brother, wasn't it? He's so cute. How old is he? Does he go to kindergarten? Chandler began to pepper his buddy with questions. Suddenly, Nicolay ran up to Tobias and put a paper bag over his head. And what was that? Chandler muttered in surprise. Nicolette put the paper bag over Tobias's head so no one could see his adorable smile. As soon as Tobias heard the nice words about his brother, a gentle smile immediately appeared outside. Well, you see, it's a game like that. It's called the zombie game. Aren't you familiar with such a game? With a ringing laugh, the girl said. She understood that her behavior from the outside looked very strange. The whole point of the game lies precisely in the bag. The leader puts a paper bag on his head and tries to catch the other players by moving around as if he were a zombie. Let's play. I promise it'll be fun. Damn, what a shame. Is this the dumbest thing I could think of? The girl thought fearfully. Listen, this sounds extremely tempting. I really like games like this, Chandler exclaimed happily. If no one minds, I'll drive first. Chandler took the paper bag from Tobias's hands. All right, let's get started. I'm ready to go, exclaimed Chandler excitedly and put the bag on himself. Chandler was so engrossed in the game that he didn't hear the bell ring for class. He didn't even notice the teacher walk into the classroom. Chandler, please sit down in your seat. Today in class, we are going to talk to you about a concept like rooted beauty, said the teacher. Still, this girl is very unpredictable, thought Tobias, glimpsing a glimpse of the girl. I can feel him looking at me right now. Why is he doing that? Did he really realize I made up a zombie game right off the bat? Shit. I'm so embarrassed. I'm afraid to even move. I feel like my neck is stiff. Frightened, Nicolay thought. Look, your neck veins are swollen. Is that normal? Tobias asked the girl. Unable to bear the tension, Nicolay jumped up from her seat and ran out of the classroom. Oh, my neck. This day is kind of stupid today. Every minute something incomprehensible is happening, and I have absolutely no understanding of my behavior. If I want him to smile, then why am I hiding his smile from others? Mumbled Nicolay as she entered the restroom. They didn't think anything bad of me, did they? It's not like I'm weird at all, I'm just normal. And why does it annoy me that everyone else sees his smile, too? Nicolay was about to leave the restroom cubicle, but suddenly she heard several girls talking. Are you talking about that star's daughter now? I heard she just recently moved on to high school. I absolutely don't understand what's so special about her. Other than her cute face, she has nothing. There are a lot of girls like that in our school. All these kids gathered around our classroom on the first day of school and started admiring her. I almost burst out laughing. How annoying. Oh well, if she likes the public attention, let her enjoy it. It pisses me off that she acts like she's been so pretty since birth. Girls, I'm just sure, and that she's been getting plastic surgery all the time since her mother became a celebrity. Suddenly, someone pushed the trash can with force. It fell noisily onto the floor tiles of the restroom. The schoolgirls were frightened into silence. Ah, I imagined that the trash can was talking, said Juno in an emotionless voice. What are you freaking out about? What are you talking about? The schoolgirls were outraged. Juno was known as a weirdo. She was considered a little strange at school. Sitting on the bus, Nicolay was glad that this endlessly difficult day had finally come to an end. I was a real laughing stock today. I was worried about absolutely everything. The girl thought wistfully. And why doesn't Tobias have a social media page? If he had one, we'd have a lot to talk about. I wish I knew what he was into. While scrolling through the newsfeed, she happened to see a picture of Tobias. Someone had written that he had been lucky enough to meet a handsome waiter at a cafe. The cafe turned out to be not far from Nicolette's house. Now I know where I'm going this evening, the girl exclaimed happily. Approaching the cafe, Nicolette saw Tobias. He was talking animatedly on the phone with someone. That's exactly why I can't come right now. I'll tell you again. I've been urgently called into work because my partner's appendix has worsened. I think I can pick up Lenny in about 3 hours. Keep an eye on him, please. Nicolette cautiously crept over to Tobias and touched him with her hand. Why don't you let me go? The girl suggested. I gather from your conversation that you urgently need to pick up your brother, but you can't do it since you're working right now. I say I can go get him for you. Why would I do that all of a sudden? Tobias wondered. Look, I can see you need help. Why would you say no? You know there's a saying, you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours later. It's not like you can't take your brother, but I can, the girl insisted. I just want to help you. Why are you being stubborn? Hey, Tobias, what are you stuck here for? You said you'd come out for a minute to make a phone call, but it's been 5. Get back to work. You're lounging around when we're so busy, shouted the red-haired man. If you don't trust me, let me send you a photo report, offered Nicolette. Tobias agreed to the girl's help. They say you must first get to know your target well. If I can get along with his little brother, we'll have a reason to meet more often, and then he will surely fall in love with me, thought Nicolette on her way to the kindergarten. Seeing the unfamiliar girl on the kindergarten doorstep, Lenny snickered irritably. Hi, my name is Nicolette. I'm your brother's friend. The girl introduced herself. My brother doesn't have any friends, so you can't be his friend, replied Lenny to the girl. Huh, but it's true. I am a friend of his. We have good communication with him. Your brother is staying late at another part-time job right now, so he asked me to come get you. You and I will take a little walk. You won't notice your brother coming back to you. But I don't believe you. My brother couldn't ask you to come get me. He always told me not to trust strangers. Angrily drawing his eyebrows together across the bridge of his nose, the boy exclaimed, Lenny, this girl is really your brother's friend. I just got off the phone with him. He said if you hang out with her, he'll come get you as soon as he can," said the kindergarten teacher. Even though Lenny wasn't thrilled with the situation, he still had to go with a girl he didn't know. Nicolette led Lenny to the children's cafe and ordered lots of sweets for him. "Oh, I almost forgot. I need to send your brother a photo report. Can I take a picture of you? I want to show your brother that we are doing well." Nicolette took a picture of Lenny and sent his picture to Tobias. "You and your brother look so much alike. You probably hear that a lot, don't you?" Nicolette asked. "No, my brother says I look more like my mom and he looks more like my dad. Our parents are in the sky with the stars right now, so I can't check that," replied the boy. "I'm sorry, I didn't know that. If I had known that, I never would have asked you that question." Embarrassed, the girl muttered, "That's okay. My brother keeps telling me there's no shame in our parents being in the sky with the stars. They went there to look out for us," replied Lenny. "Look, you're so cool, just like your brother!" exclaimed Nicolette and stroked the boy's head. "Nicolette, how many times have I told you not to hang around after school and go straight home?" A furious Sarah burst into the cafe. "Gosh, who's that little guy next to you? He's so cute!" exclaimed Sarah, taking a seat next to Lenny. Nicolette told her mother that it was her classmate's little brother. She was asked to keep an eye on him. When the shift was finally over, Tobias quickly changed his clothes and sprinted out of the cafe. Tobias's cell phone rang. It was Nicolette calling. "Tobias, are you done working yet? You see, here's the thing," Nicolette said into the phone. Following Tobias, a large man entered the elevator. He was holding large bags in his hands. When the elevator doors opened on the right floor, Tobias was already greeted by Nicolette. "Why did you two come together?" the girl wondered. Tobias and the man looked at each other. Nicolette introduced Tobias to her parents. "And I didn't realize my daughter had such good-looking boys in her class. You look like some kind of star. They probably tell you that a lot, don't they?" Sarah exclaimed. "Thank you for looking after my little brother. It's getting late, so we should get going," said Tobias to the woman. Sarah suggested he stay for dinner. "I think that would be unnecessary," said Tobias and asked Nicolette to walk him to his brother's room. When Tobias entered the room, he found his brother asleep. Tobias leaned over his brother and began to wake him up. Lenny asked for a little more sleep. "I don't mind if he sleeps a little longer in my room," said Nicolette. Lenny, rubbing his sleepy eyes, sat up on the bed. Tobias wanted to leave, but Stephen wouldn't let him do so. It turned out that he had brought fresh meat in large bags. Stephen wanted to treat his guests to a delicious dinner. "Wow, there will be fresh meat!" shouted Lenny excitedly. Within a couple hours, the table was already teeming with various meat dishes. "Lenny, eat slower, please," Tobias asked his brother. "Mr. Candy can only be nice to his little brother. If you look at him, you get the impression he's kindness itself," Nicolette thought as she watched Tobias. After dinner, Nicolette decided to spend a little time with her guests. "Damn, but why is he so silent? Why won't he talk to me?" Nicolette wanted to talk to Tobias, but she didn't know what he would find interesting. "Isn't my mom a hottie?" Nicolette asked. "You know, when I was a kid, everywhere I went with my mom, a lot of people laughed at me. They said I didn't look anything like her at all." "Damn, what am I saying again?" a blushing Nicolette thought. "You're beautiful, too," Tobias said briefly. "Brother, why don't you freeze? Let's go quickly." Lenny walked up to Tobias and pulled him by the sleeve of his jacket. "Lenny is right. You are both tired. It's time for you to go home," said Nicolette. Nicolette leaned over to Lenny, asking him to come visit her, at least periodically. "That earring, it belongs to that girl, doesn't it? I saw a similar one in her room," said Lenny before going to bed. "Yeah, she lost it and I found it, so I had to return it," replied Tobias. "You don't like that girl? You were acting a little strange at her house. Tonight she took care of you and me. Her parents fed us a nice dinner." "You don't need to know that," said Lenny and turned away from his brother. Entering the classroom, Tobias said a loud hello to Nicolette. "Good morning to you, too. By the way, if you can't pick up your brother again today, you can count on me," said Nicolette. "I don't think your help will be needed anytime soon. My boss, citing illness, has decided to go on vacation, so he's closing his cafe for a while," said Tobias. Will you have to look for a new part-time job? Asked the girl. Tobias answered her that he hadn't thought anything about it yet. Did you know that you can find job ads on social media? I saw a job posting recently. A part-time employee was needed in our neighborhood. Would you like to work there? Nicolay asked. I'll write to them now. They'll get back to us in a while. It would be great if they hire you. A couple hours later, the girl received a reply. Tobias was being hired. The boy thanked her for her help by patting her on the head. Tobias noted to himself that the girl reminded him of a puppy. When she was praised, she got very excited. Wow, this is exciting! I'm getting butterflies in my stomach. Does he really like me too? Nicolette thought to herself. Tobias's phone rang, a call from the kindergarten. It turned out that Lenny had gone home without waiting for his brother. Tobias and Nicolette rushed to the daycare center. They found Lenny near the street food counter. Crying loudly, the boy ran to Nicolette. "Mommy!" said the boy and sobbed bitterly. Nicolette began to gently stroke his head. Tobias brought Lenny to his room and laid him on his bed. "It's getting late. I'm going home," said Nicolette, rising to her feet. Tobias decided to walk her out. "Nicolette, I never thought my brother would behave this way. It's probably all because you smell just like our mom," said Tobias to the girl. "Looks like your mom used the same makeup as me," said Nicolette with a smile. "I scolded him for being rude, but it turns out he was acting that way because your scent is similar to Mom's. It really embarrasses him. I'm embarrassed that because of my job, I can't give him enough time," Tobias admitted. "And you know who you look like now?" "But a super mom. They're the kind of moms who work hard for their kids but still feel guilty about it. They say they can't spend enough time with their kids because of work," Nicolette told. Tobias looked at the girl carefully. He had absolutely no idea what she was getting at. "Well, you're his brother, not his mommy. You're slowly turning into a super brother. I'm sure it's hard for you to look after your little brother and still work. You're only doing all this for him. Don't beat yourself up about it, okay? You're an awesome big brother." "Chin up, big brother. Deal?" Nicolette patted Tobias on the shoulder. "Okay," said Tobias and smiled sweetly at the girl. "I go crazy every time he smiles. Just a little more and I can't take it. I didn't make this up to myself, did I? He's definitely started treating me differently. Maybe we can work something out after all?" Nicolette thought joyfully. "Thank you for the help you gave me yesterday," said Tobias, and handed the girl a ticket to the art show. At lunchtime, Nicolette decided to go out to the sports field. There she saw Tobias playing soccer with the other boys. Noticing the girl, Tobias smiled happily and waved to her. "That's the first time I've ever seen Tobias smile like that," Juno remarked. "Have you noticed he's been smiling lately too?" exclaimed Nicolette. The girl rejoiced at the metamorphosis that was taking place in Tobias's character. "You know, I have a friend, and this one guy always smiles when he looks at her. He even patted her on the head once and called her beautiful. What do you think that means?" Nicolette asked Juno. "I act like that with my dog, too. But I guess that's not what you're asking me, is it?" prompted Juno. "So you're saying you'd like to figure out if this guy likes your friend or not? Have they even gone to the movies or done anything like that? They should go out together or be alone together. Then everything will become clear." "Let's go to a movie together, just the two of us," suggested Nicolette to Tobias. "If you want to go to the movies, fine, let's go," replied Tobias. Nicolette was surprised that he agreed so quickly. "Are you free this Saturday morning? It's my day off, and Lenny told me he's going to visit a friend of his that day." Nicolette walked into the movie theater and stopped by the box office. She texted Tobias that she would be waiting for him here. "I can't believe we're going to have something like a first date tonight. It would be nice if he held my hand during the session," thought Nicolette, fidgeting in front of the mirror. In the crowd of people entering, the girl saw Tobias. She hurried over to him. "Hello, Nicolette!" From over Tobias's shoulder, a joyous Chandler jumped out. Nicolette froze in place in surprise. She hadn't expected Tobias to come alone. They had agreed that they would go to the movies alone. "You really do look like a social media star in your casual clothes. It's different in your school uniform. I'm glad I met Tobias on the way here. He told me he was going to the movies. And what a coincidence! I wanted to go to the movies too. I came to the movies to see this movie. Chandler pointed to a poster of a romantic comedy. Here, go see it by yourself. We were going to see something else. Have fun watching it. When you get home, cross the road carefully and don't talk to strangers. Nicolay exclaimed. Is that so? Then I'll watch the same thing you did. To be honest, I'm not really picky about movies, replied Chandler to the girl. Nicolay couldn't concentrate on the movie as she couldn't stop being mad at Chandler. He had ruined her entire date. How that asshole pisses me off. Did he not get my hints? I've been showing him that I want to be alone with Tobias. The girl thought irritably. The movie was very good. It completely immersed me in its atmosphere. I think I even sat through it a bit. I didn't expect you to watch a horror movie so calmly. You didn't even flinch once, Chandler exclaimed enthusiastically. By the way, weren't you here on a date? I hope I'm not interrupting anything. What date are you talking about? Forget it. We just decided to go to a movie, Nicolette said with a carefree smile. You haven't eaten yet, have you? How about a steak? My treat, said Chandler. Nicolay was glad that there was some good from him. Food always lifted her spirits. Tobias, to tell you the truth, I wanted to ask you something. You don't have a girlfriend, do you? The thing is, a few girls from the parallel class have asked me to ask you that, Chandler admitted. You always leave quickly after class, so there have been some rumors about you. Some say you work so hard so you have money to go on dates with some college girl. That's all bullshit! What kind of crazy person would date a student just entering high school? Nicolay was indignant. No, I don't have a girlfriend at the moment. And to be honest, I'm totally not interested in a relationship right now. I think I'm a loner, Tobias admitted. What do you mean? You mean you've decided to stay single? Chandler wondered. Why wouldn't I? I don't really have the time or ability to think about relationships. Yeah, and dating doesn't really interest me. So you can tell the girls in the parallel class that way, answered Tobias. Shocked to the core, Nicolay left the restaurant and slowly wandered home. Nicolette, are you leaving already? You won't even say thank you for the food? And you won't say goodbye to us? Well, that's the way it is. Take care of yourself. See you Monday, shouted Chandler to the girl. Chandler's cell phone rang. It was his mother. Chandler snapped out of his seat and ran home. Turning around on the spot, Nicolay ran to Tobias. Tobias, answer me. Who am I to you? Breathing heavily, the girl asked. I don't even know. I'd call you a good friend who I'm grateful to have helped, replied Tobias. Just a friend, and that's it. Nothing else? Nicolay clarified. Tobias looked at her in surprise. He didn't know what she wanted him to say. Okay, forget it, the girl exclaimed. She turned around and walked towards the house. Since Tobias considers her his friend, then no matter how much it hurts her, she shouldn't develop a relationship with him, because otherwise it will only hurt more. When she got home, she turned on her phone to sad music about unhappy love. Stephen cautiously opened the door and peeked into his daughter's room. What's wrong with her? Sarah asked her husband. She's probably been dumped again, replied Stephen. What's wrong with her that she's always getting dumped? It's just crazy as hell. How can she break up with guys so quickly, being the daughter of the great Sarah Grudy? Sarah wanted to go into her daughter's room, but her spouse prevented her from doing so. Let's just let her be alone tonight, okay? Asked Stephen, taking his spouse in his arms. Walking to school in the morning, Tobias saw Nicolay. The boy waved to her, but she didn't answer him in any way. She just walked past. Good morning. You know, and I waved to you at the gate, said Tobias, sitting down at his desk. Really, I didn't notice, said Nicolette. She pretended to be engrossed in watching a video on her phone. The girl decided to herself that she would ignore Tobias from this day forward. Nicolay, did you go to the movies with Tobias this weekend? How did it go? Her classmate asked the girl. It went well. By the way, we weren't alone. Chandler went with us, replied Nicolay. I heard my name. Were you guys talking about me? How can you discuss me behind my back? I like attention to my own person, so I can't miss if someone is talking about me, said Chandler, walking up. Look, why don't you get the hell out of here? Nicolette patted Chandler on the shoulder. After going to the movie theater, This guy was starting to annoy her. "Nicolay, my brother wants to eat those brownies he had with you that time. I thought we could go together," suggested Tobias to the girl. "So what's going on now? Why am I getting tinnitus in my ears? I need to get a grip. I don't have to go back to false hopes. I don't want to suffer needlessly hoping for reciprocity," Nicolette thought to herself. "I'm sorry, but I already have plans today. But so as not to upset your brother, I'll go to that cafe with him myself sometime later," Nicolette replied. "She's not coming?" asked Lenny to his brother. "She seems to be very busy lately," replied Tobias. "But I don't want to eat those cakes. I want to eat meat. That auntie said I could come to them any time I wanted to eat meat. And the uncle told me he has a huge store with fresh meat." Lenny looked at his brother with a puppy dog look. "Lenny, I've told you before that it's not right to inconvenience other people. It's not right to come to them whenever you feel like eating meat. With my next paycheck, I'll be sure to buy you something meaty, okay?" Back at home, Lenny decided to dial Nicolay. Stephen heard his daughter's cell phone playing on the table. Nicolay had forgotten it at home. Entering the apartment, Nicolay heard the sound of voices. She realized that they had guests. Lenny walked up to the girl. "Lenny, hi! How did you get here? Did you come by yourself?" Nicolay squatted down in front of the boy. Tobias stepped out into the hallway. He greeted the girl. "Babe, I'm the one who invited these guys to come visit us," said Stephen, looking out of the kitchen. After dinner, Nicolay went into the kitchen to wash the dishes. She was annoyed that no one wanted to help her. Suddenly, Tobias walked up to Nicolette and put on rubber gloves. He decided to help the girl with the dishes. "You said you had plans, but you ended up going home," noted Tobias. "Yeah, I had plans with someone, but they had to be canceled," replied Nicolay. "I see. And I had already decided that you were avoiding me." Nicolette didn't want to see her guests off. The girl went to the window and looked out into the courtyard. She saw Tobias and Lenny walking home. "He has no idea how I feel right now. I think it's actually harder to give up on unrequited love than it is to keep loving on. I want to get rid of these feelings, so I'll have to keep avoiding him," Nicolay thought to herself. The next day at recess, one of her classmates approached Nicolay and showed her a picture from the internet. "Nicolay, is that really you?" the classmate asked. "I would like to point out that you don't look like this girl at all. This article says that it's exactly you. Is that true?" "Yes, that's me," with a smile, Nicolette replied. "Holy pineapples! You look so much prettier. I hope you don't take that as an insult. It was a compliment," a classmate exclaimed. Nicolay thanked him for his warm words. "And why did he do that? All he did was ruin everyone's mood," Chandler muttered. Nicolay clutched her stomach. Her stomach ached with nervousness. Since the girl had been overweight as a child, she had exhausted herself with various diets. Such a diet affected her health. Lately, she had to take pills all the time. Tobias approached Nicolette and handed her some digestive pills. He knew about Nicolette's problems. Her mother had told him about it yesterday. "Tobias, stop acting like this. Stop taking care of me and being nice to me. Don't call me anywhere because I might misunderstand you. You said you like being alone, so be alone." Nicolette handed Tobias back his pills. "Refrain and don't do that again. I don't want to get false hopes." Tobias was arranging the newly arrived merchandise around the store. A gummy bear caught his eye. Involuntarily, he remembered Nicolay's words. "About that picture. Don't let Stifler act like that to you. I didn't like many of my classmates from the beginning, but Stifler is especially mean," said Juno Nicolay. "Yeah, I don't really care much about that. By the way, I want to admit to you that I liked someone," replied Nicolay. "Are you talking about Tobias now?" Juno asked. Nicolay was amazed at how quickly her friend guessed who she was in love with. "Tobias doesn't have a girlfriend, so you're free to act," Juno remarked. "The problem is that he has absolutely no interest in a relationship. He called himself a loner. Unrequited crushes hurt me, so I want to figure out if it's worth giving those feelings a chance to exist," Nicolette admitted. "I wouldn't want to go through this roller coaster of emotions alone. It makes me feel like a failure. I want my feelings to be mutual, where he and I contribute equally to our relationship. Is that possible in real life? It seems to me that perfect relationships don't exist. It's always one party that loves the other a little more, and feelings change all the time too, even the strongest ones. With a heavy sigh, Yuno sighed. My life experience has shown me that there is no such thing as a relationship where everything is always fine. One will always love one more. Or do you put your feelings above everything else? Walking back home, Nicolette thought about her friend's words. She's right. Nicolette's feelings shouldn't be above Tobias's. And it absolutely didn't matter who fell in love first. Suddenly, the girl noticed Tobias. She hurried to catch up with him. Tobias, I take back what I said about you being nice to me. Just do what you think is right, because I'm going to do what I want too. Okay, Tobias replied briefly. I thought I didn't care if Tobias didn't reciprocate my feelings, but it turns out I don't. I want Tobias to be mine. Thought to herself Nicolette. Back at home, Nicolette decided to think about her plan of action. I want the person I like to reciprocate me. Isn't that natural? But Tobias said he's not interested in a relationship at the moment. But does it really matter? I just need to set the mood right, and Tobias will fall in love with me right away. But how can I seduce someone when I have absolutely no experience? I need to calm down because lack of knowledge in this area is no reason to be embarrassed and inactive. I will definitely learn everything. Brother, what does it mean when something happens between you and someone else? For example, when two people don't see each other often, but they think about each other. What do you call that? Asked Lenny. And where did you pick up all this stuff? Tobias wondered. We used to talk about it at daycare, and I think there's something going on with Brittany lately, replied Lenny. And I probably have something going on with me, too, Tobias thought, remembering Nicolette. Nicolette entered the classroom with a confident stride. Last night, she had digested a lot of information on how to seduce a guy she liked. Now, the girl considered herself an expert in love. Nicolette sat down next to Tobias and greeted him cheerfully. Nicolette said about her seduction. Last night, she had read on the internet that since ancient times, men love with their eyes. The article had advised to show the guy she liked her neck by throwing her hair back carelessly. Nicolette wanted to casually flip her hair back, but accidentally tangled her fingers in it. The girl howled in pain. Tobias asked her if she was all right. Yeah, I just forgot to brush my hair before leaving the house. Can't you share your math homework? I was too busy last night, so I didn't have time to do my homework, Nicolette admitted. Also, articles on seduction recommended the use of sweet perfume scents. So Nicolette took a peach-scented toilet water to school. She was sure that it was impossible not to fall in love with a person who smelled like peach. As soon as the girl applied the toilet water on you, insects immediately flew to her from all sides. Turns out they really like the peach scent. This is terrible. Today I had failure after failure. Why do these masters of seduction teach such idiotic methods? Thought Nicolette on the way home. In front of her, the girl saw two little kids walking by the hand. Nicolette thought to herself wistfully that small children develop relationships faster than she did. Nicolette, is that you? What are you doing here? Turning around, a boy asked. It was Lenny. Nicolette told him she was on her way home from school. I want to come with you! I want to come visit you! Shouted Lenny. Nicolette called Tobias and told him that she had met his brother on the way home. She promised to stay with him until he finished his work. But I want to come home to you. Why did we come to the playground? With an offended pout of the lips, Lenny asked. You see, today is not a good day to go to my house. Besides, I have questions that only you can answer, replied Nicolette. If you want to know something about my brother, then let's get to the point sooner rather than later, said Lenny to the girl. You're right. I want to talk to you about your brother. What kind of girls do you think he likes the most? Asked Nicolette. You're lucky you approached me specifically with this question. When it comes to my brother, no one in the world knows him better than I do. I'm a true expert in all things concerning my big brother, exclaimed Lenny. Most of all, my brother likes fried meat. He also likes washing and cleaning. He does that a lot. And of all the people in the world, he likes me best. I know he used to like taking pictures, but for some reason he hasn't been doing that lately. I'm pretty sure my brother doesn't like rain and wet weather. He tries not to walk around outside when it's cloudy. That's it, I've told you everything. Now I want to go on the swings, exclaimed Lenny and ran to the swings. I guess I owe you again. Thank you for all your help. You had to sit with my little brother again, said Tobias to the girl. Nicolette replied to him that she didn't find it a burden at all to sit with his little brother. She enjoyed spending time with him. At the stoplight, Lenny took Tobias's hand and put Nicolette's hand in it. My kindergarten teacher says you have to hold hands when you cross the road. Didn't you know that? The road should always be crossed together, explained the boy. Nicolette wanted to release her hand, but Tobias squeezed it tighter. He held my hand. I'll never wash it again, mumbled Nicolette before going to sleep. Today, Nicolette treated me to my favorite gummy bears. She had several packages of them in her backpack. I told her that if she ate that much candy, her teeth would soon go bad. Narrated Lenny before going to bed. I've also noticed that when Nicolette is around you, you smile more often. Do you like her? Do I like Nicolette? I don't know. I haven't thought about it, replied Tobias. His brother's words surprised him. Does he really smile when Nicolette is around? The school announced that in a few days there would be a trip to the sea. This information did not make Tobias happy, as the trip cost a considerable amount of money. It's great that we'll be going to the sea. Not all high school students get that opportunity. What do you think about it? Nicolette asked Tobias. Tobias didn't answer anything to the girl. Nicolette noticed that he was upset about something. Tobias came to the teacher's lounge to tell his class teacher that he couldn't go with the class. Tobias, you don't need to worry. In your situation, the trip is already fully paid for by the school, whispered the teacher. Tobias had been in a bad mood since morning, as it had been raining outside the window all day. It was the rain that reminded him of his parents. They died together on the same day. It was also raining heavily on the day of their funeral. Ta-da! Here comes the ferry! Nicolette exclaimed and opened her umbrella over Tobias. Suddenly, Tobias put his arms around the girl and pulled her close to him. Nicolette, it's true. I smile more often when I see you, and I really hate the rain. Thank you for being around right now, mumbled Tobias. Let's go home or we'll get wet, said Tobias and took the umbrella from the girl's hands. Come, rain, come! It's pouring down like a bucket. Nicolette thought to herself. Thanks to the rain, she could be near Tobias. Once she arrived at the sea, Nicolette immediately started taking selfies with her friends. You saw, Nicolette has already started uploading pics to social media. Why don't you want to take pictures? I don't have any pics of you, said Chandler to his buddy Tobias. Do you think maybe I should get a social media account too? Asked Tobias. After the dismissal bell sounded, the students of the class decided to gather in Chandler and Tobias's room. The students started telling each other scary stories, and then a pillow fight ensued. Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside the door. The students hurried to hide under their beds and blankets. Nicolette found herself in the same bed as Tobias. The teacher decided to check if everything was quiet in the room. He walked over to the beds and stood beside them for a few seconds. Damn, my heart is pounding like crazy. I feel like the teacher is going to hear it soon. Nicolette thought fearfully. After standing in pitch-black silence for a bit, the teacher left the room. That's it. He's gone. We can get out, one of the students announced in a loud whisper. It's so stuffy. I thought I was going to die of heat under this blanket. Yuno resented. Oh, I've been breathing in so much dust. What's going to happen to my lungs now? Chandler, this is all because of you. If you hadn't started a pillow fight, no one would have heard us, grumbled Mike, crawling out from under the bed. Nicolette, don't you want to take a picture together? Tobias asked, embarrassed. Stand up. I'll take a picture of you, said Juno, pulling her cell phone out of her pocket. Nicolette and Tobias couldn't think of a good pose for a long time. They were extremely uncomfortable with the situation. Nicolette's phone received a notification that she had a new subscriber. It turned out to be Tobias. He suddenly announced that he wanted to start his own page on social networks. I decided to help him. By the way, I took the picture for the avatar. Chandler bragged. By the way, Did you notice that in just one night he had several hundred people subscribe to it? I didn't expect it to prove so popular. And why did you only help your friend? Nicolay was indignant. She was hurt that Tobias had turned out to be so popular. The girl guessed that it was likely that Tobias would soon have throngs of female admirers in his life. What's wrong with that? What do you mean by that? I wanted what was best for him. He's the only one stuck in the Stone Age and you want to leave him like that? Wait, I think I get it, Chandler exclaimed. You're afraid he'll have more subscribers than you, am I right? They say the more you get, the more you want. That's life, and there's nothing you can do about it. And what are you two talking about? Tobias asked. The thing is, we were discussing how I created a social media account for you, but our one and only Nicolay got upset about it. She was curious as to why you decided to start your own page, narrated Chandler. Suddenly, Chandler noticed Juno. Quickly turning around, he hurriedly left. Lately, he had been feeling extremely awkward around Juno. It was all because that night during the trip, they had ended up under the same blanket together. What's with him? Wasn't he in the middle of talking to you? Where did he rush off to all of a sudden? Muttered Juno. All right, I'll go now. I won't bother you. I wanted to see pictures from our vacation, so I created an account. I heard classmates talking about them a lot. Basic curiosity got the better of me. Tobias confessed to the girl. You've noticed, too, that it's hard to strike up a conversation with our classmates without knowing what's going on their page, haven't you? And if you dream of becoming a social media star, just tell me about it. Nicolay exclaimed and patted Tobias on the shoulder. Listen, are you free after school today? Tobias asked unexpectedly. Yeah, why? Nicolay inquired. Since your parents have been looking after Lenny while we've been traveling, I think I've caused them a bit of trouble. So I wanted to ask you to help me pick out a gift for them, replied Tobias. After the shopping was done, Tobias offered to take a picture of her in the photo area of the mall. It turned out that Tobias really knew how to take pictures. His photos really appealed to the girl. My dad once told me that a photograph reveals the feelings of the person who takes it. The easiest way to take a good photo is to look at something that you really cherish, narrated Tobias. And what did he mean by those words? That he treasures me? That he likes me? Should I ask him that? And what's the right way to ask that question? Thought Nicolette, sitting in the cafe across from Tobias. Do you think maybe I should upload the picture you and I took during the school trip? Tobias asked unexpectedly. I don't even know. The thing is, it's just that some people might misunderstand this picture. There might be rumors that you and I are dating or something. Stammering embarrassed, Nicolay said. Well, I can upload it. You don't mind, do you? Tobias clarified. It seemed to the girl that he couldn't hear her at all. And I see you two are dating. You're having lunch alone right now, aren't you? It's very much like a date. Stifler exclaimed as he approached. It's not a date, okay? Tobias decided to buy something, so I helped him pick it out. You better not even try to spread weird rumors at school, got it? Nicolette said in an annoyed voice. And if I do tell, what are you going to do to me? Asked Stifler to the girl. After waving goodbye to Nicolay, Stifler, laughing happily, rushed towards your friends. I wonder if Tobias was upset because Stifler got it wrong. And why did Stifler come here and say such unpleasant things? Thought Nicolay, looking at Tobias. It seemed to her that the situation had hurt the guy. Shall we go already? To be honest, it's time for me to go home, said Tobias and got up from his seat. You don't think Stifler will spread false rumors about us, do you? Asked Nicolay. You could have just said we had a date. I wouldn't have minded. And you know, it wouldn't be a big deal if word got around the school that I was dating you, replied Tobias. The next day, the classmates bombarded Nicolette with questions. They were extremely curious if she was really dating Tobias. You see, Stifler got it all wrong. It wasn't a date. Tobias just needed my help picking out a few things, so I went shopping with him, Nicolette explained. But Tobias posted a picture of you two together on his page yesterday. Tell us what's going on between you two, Samantha asked. Are you guys talking about Tobias right now? Yeah, a dog would get into a relationship faster than he would. Tobias once told me that he enjoys his solitude. He's not interested in relationships, Chandler exclaimed. Things are different in my life now, said Tobias, who approached. But I remember you talking about your loneliness, how you liked being alone and didn't want a relationship. You said yourself that you didn't have the time or desire for one. Chandler objected. And just recently I changed my mind, replied Tobias. And what's the name of my new school this time? Asked Zachary in a disgruntled tone. The driver answered him that the new school was called Chogun. Zachary decided to look to see what celebrities were attending this school. Among the photos of local bloggers, Zachary saw a shot of Nicolay. He doesn't like being alone anymore. How did this happen? Could it be because of me? Or have I misunderstood something again? Nicolette thought to herself. Suddenly, the girl was called out by Chandler. Mr. Loneliness has suddenly decided he wants to have a relationship. We should investigate. As someone who saw this historic event with your own eyes, you should definitely get involved, shouted Chandler. I'll start the investigation today after I've had my fill of rice cake. Don't start acting without me. Nicolette slapped her foot on Chandler's ankle, hinting for him to start asking Tobias the questions he wanted to know. Who made you decide to change your views on bachelorhood? Is she from our school? Maybe she's from our class? Why did you change your mind so abruptly? Did you seriously think I believed you? Chandler literally flooded his buddy with questions. Finally sitting down, exclaimed Juno, sinking heavily into a chair. Why is she here? Chandler asked. Nicolette answered him that Juno liked rice cakes too. A blushing Chandler abruptly fell silent. Chandler, why are you suddenly quiet? Did something happen? Nicolette asked. I'm always quiet, okay? Replied Chandler. Chandler seems to be interested in Juno. What do you think? Personally, I'm sure of it. My gut has never let me down, said Nicolette to Tobias as they walked out of the cafe. What does your gut say about me? Why do you think I suddenly changed my mind about the relationship? Tobias asked. Look, we don't have time to have small talk with you. I recently remembered that you still haven't taken the picture for your class card that our teacher asked for. Let's hurry up while the photo studios are open, exclaimed Nicolette. The girl was afraid that she might hear something from Tobias that would finally throw her off balance. It's been a long time since you've been here. Don't you take pictures anymore? The girl photographer asked Tobias. Yes, but I'm trying to start taking pictures again. I recently met someone I don't feel like taking pictures of, replied Tobias. Tobias approached Nicolette and said that the pictures would be ready in half an hour. The girl offered to wait for the pictures in the lobby. I noticed that you know the photographer, said Nicolette. My father used to come here a lot. He liked to take pictures, and I used to go with him when he printed out the pictures. My first photo I printed out here too, narrated Tobias. This place holds a lot of memories, so I thought it would hurt me to come back here, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Maybe it's because you're with me? Zachary peeked into the teacher's lounge. Seeing Nicolette, he rushed to hug her. Nicolette, it's really you. I really missed you, exclaimed Zachary. And what are you doing here? Aren't you supposed to be in America? Asked Nicolette. She was happy to see her old friend. Zachary told the girl that his family had decided to return to their homeland. Therefore, he would now be attending her school. When Zachary walked through the school, all the school children looked at him with admiration. And it is not surprising, because he was a national star. Once upon a time, he starred in the same television show with Nicolette's mother. Zachary, we gave you a tour of the school, so happy stay. I hope you really like it here. We need to go to our class, Nicolette exclaimed and started pushing Tobias towards their classroom. Upon entering the classroom, Nicolette breathed a sigh of relief. So this is your class? Turns out we'll be studying next to each other? I wish we were in the same class, exclaimed Zachary, looking into Nicolette's classroom. By the way, I never introduced myself to you. My name is Zachary. I'm an old friend of Nicolette's. I'm also guessing that you are also a friend of hers. Her friends are always my friends, so I'm offering you friendship. Zachary shook Tobias's hand firmly. Hot news! I just heard that our Nicolette was in the teacher's lounge cuddling with some guy. An excited Chandler burst into the classroom. "Wait, that's Zachary, that cute boy from the TV show," exclaimed Chandler upon seeing the star. "You need to calm down a bit. You're too excited." And as for the incident in the teacher's lounge, I was just really happy to see Nicolay, so I couldn't contain my emotions. I was the one who hugged her. Narrated Zachary. The female students of Chogun High School ran up to Zachary and started flooding him with questions. And why are they making such a fuss over some star? Have they never seen people like that before? Grumbled Stifler. "By the way, Zachary, what's your relationship with Nicolay?" Stifler asked in a loud voice. "Nicolette is my first love," Zachary confessed. "By the way, my mom thanks you for the gift. She wants you to come over for dinner tonight. Are you free tonight?" asked Nicolette to Tobias. "Yes, I am free. Lenny will be having dinner at his friend's house tonight, so I have some free time," replied Tobias. "You left without me too? That's so sad. I just transferred here after all, and I was really hoping you'd be my friends." Zachary hugged Nicolette and Tobias tightly. "Can I come visit you today? I really want to see your mother," exclaimed Zachary. Nicolette wanted to object to him, but he wouldn't listen to her. "He seems to really like cuddling," Tobias thought to himself. "Jesus, Zachary, when did you get here? At least send me a message," Sarah exclaimed when she saw Zachary on her doorstep. "There he goes again, acting like her baby. He used to act like that all the time when we were kids," grumbled Nicolay. At dinner, Zachary told Sarah that he had decided to work in his native country again. The contract in America was coming to an end. Zachary had an opportunity to star in a new movie. Filming will start this year. Sarah asked Tobias why he hadn't brought Lenny with him. The guy answered her that Lenny was having dinner at a friend's house tonight. "You see, Lenny is Tobias's little brother. He's really cute. If you ever see him, you're sure to like him," said Nicolette to her old buddy Zachary. "Sarah, do you remember that when I was little, I promised you that I would definitely marry Nicolette when I grew up?" Zachary asked, unexpectedly. Nicolay and Tobias looked at Zachary in surprise. The girl was shocked. She didn't expect her old friend to say such a stupid thing. How would she explain herself to Tobias now? Her relationship with him was just starting to work out. Would Zachary ruin it?